actually like to dive down in transgender intersex a little bit. What are the main points on that in the strategy?
Well, for trans, it's that self-determination and depathologization. You know, these are important aspects, and also for intersex, is a ban on medical intervention on babies if there is no medical need. You know, this forced, you know, these operations into this is something which should be banned, and some countries already have legislation, and this is something we have to raise also more awareness of this, because this is mutilation of babies, and we cannot tolerate that here in Europe.
Well, what do you think is the long prospects of the Intergroup in Europe? Do you have anything planned next after the strategy, or?
Well, of course we are constantly, you know, European legislation is evolving, and we are constantly monitoring what is going on, and we're trying to get organized also to be strong vis-à-vis the anti-gender movement, you know, which is infiltrating also European politics. So we have to be very watchful and come up with ideas and push the Commission to do more, and push the Council to be active and to keep the LGBTI questions high on the agenda. And I always say that we don't fight for extra rights for LGBTI people. It's just about equality and the same rights. And this is sometimes people who are against us, they say, you want... No, it's just the same rights. And I think we're only equal until we're all equal.
Marie?
Yes?
You guys are working with transgender kids.
Yes.
And why is it that it's so important to, you know, catch up on these kids when they're still little, instead of just waiting till they're older and can express themselves?
Because they actually can express themselves already when they're kids, or small kids. And it can be very important also for kids to be allowed to live as the person they believe they think they are. And we have realized, and already from the age 3 or 4 or 5, as small kids in the kindergarten, are having a very fixed view about how they actually are. And being a transgender girl in the kindergarten, it means that she really sees herself as a girl. And it's very important for this little girl to be accepted as a girl. And we have looked in research, people who are doing research about transgender kids, and the kids who are supported and accepted in their gender identity, they're actually having a better life than the kids that are not accepted and supported. So it is important for the life quality that we actually accept the kids as they are.
Mm-hmm. So, but what does it mean? Like, let's say if I came in as an uneducated person and I saw these kids and I was like, why is this boy having a dress on, for instance? What does that mean?
Actually, I think the correct answer to you would be, this is not a boy, this is a girl, and just behave like the girl, treat her as the girl she is. Mm-hmm. It's not more complicated. Just accept the gender identity of the girl.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so when you pick them up as small boys and girls, then they like have this identity from the start. Is that correct? Like then they.
What we see, it is that some children in the kindergarten are actually quite fixed, and it's not us as grown-ups, it's the kids who are in any way they can communicate. They communicate to us like, I'm a girl or I'm a boy. Mm-hmm. It's not the adults who are doing something for the kids. It's the kids who are telling the adults. And of course, as in the age of 3 or 5 or 6, they don't know the name transgender, but they can say, I'm a girl or I'm a boy. And it is something like that they are saying. And we are also having, it's not always the small kids, sometimes it is the teenagers who are, and then they can find the words and saying, I'm a transgender. But, and then they teach their parents what it means to be transgender. And it's the same story. If you support your kid, your kid will have a better life quality.
Just as a last thing, like if you look at transgender rights here in Denmark, what do you think that we could improve on? Like today it's like the new normal, or what?
I wish. Actually, we have a lack according to life quality for transgender kids. The transgender kids are having better. We have a lot of transgender kids who have suicide attempts, self-harm, and having a bad life quality. The thing we can do is make them allowed to have a new social security number. It's also called legal gender recognition, but it's actually a number on a card, like changing your name. That could be an improvement. The teachers at the school have to have more knowledge, and they have to have more help at the healthcare system.
So actually, like it's system-wise, it's a big thing, but when you put it into a physical matter, it's actually a very small thing, but it means a lot to these people.
Yeah. When we're going to borrow a book at the library, and if you want to talk to the librarian, then they're sometimes looking at the social security card to try to borrow a book at the library. And it's some very daily life things where it matters.
So again, actually, this is going to be my last question. Like the new pronouns that we have today, like he, she, and then they. What do you think about that? Is that like a good thing to implement even at an early age too, or?
Yes, I think it's the life quality for the kids, and it's a very practical way to show the kids that we support them.
I would like to ask about like transgender rights in Finland. How is it going up there?
In Finland it could be worse, but it could be much better. Our current goal is to get a better situation on the legal gender legislation, and also there's much work to do to start as like educate people on so many topics. Like for example, the knowledge about gender minorities and, for example, non-binary people isn't so common on at least all parts of Finland. So in addition to that, we need to try to tackle all discrimination and hate speech. There is so much people who don't even know what transgender means.
So basically information, and you guys need some more legalization when it comes to like changing your gender.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially when it comes to legal gender recognition, you have to acknowledge that it really harshly violates human rights at the moment. For example, it requires forced infertility from a person as a pre-requirement for legal gender recognition. So that is a huge problem, and it has to be based on self-determination. Oh, at the same time, there are good there are like steps being taken towards, for example, the better law on gender recognition. But then at the same time, you know, when we're having those discussions, trans people, the hate towards and discrimination towards trans people is on the rise. And like if you think about, you mentioned schools, yes, it's definitely a problem that, you know, there's not enough information, but also it's a paradox that at the same time, you know, we're doing a lot of work to educate teachers, and you know there are good, like there's been a lot of improvement with the curricula, but then at the same time, you know, when there's more talk, there's more hate against trans people, and that's wrong, and that's a terrible paradox in a way.
Yeah.
Well, do you guys think that it's maybe because like the society is starting to recognize like LGBT persons like gay and lesbians, and they are aware of what it is, but then transgender is, like you said, like the new thing that people kind of know what it is, but don't really know what it is, and then it's an easy target?
Yeah, maybe, and also I think that when you are taught to think on a certain way, it might be really hard to admit that you have been wrong and that you have to change your opinions and to change the way you speak about people and change the way you, for example, like can you like me. It is hard to understand that misgendering people is a possibility, and you must be careful when you gender someone, and you have to know people's gender before you can address it aloud, because the gender isn't determined, and it cannot be it isn't a clear thing based only by the people's looks and so on. And I think that it's hard to admit that you are making mistakes, and it is easier to push these kind of thoughts and push this kind of critique against your attitudes and critiques against your way of speaking and doing than to stop and listen and try to learn new way of think and work and act.
I would like to know what you guys think about the struggle that transgender people are having right now, like LGBT people in general. When it comes to gay and lesbians, we are pretty far ahead, but there's still this fight for the transgender people. What do you guys think about that?
Well, there's a fight. They're having a rough time, and well, they should have the same rights. They should have the right to be who they are and who they want to be.
Mm-hmm. So, how is the situation in Iceland when it comes to transgender people?
I'm not sure if they tell us we are a bit behind you, I think, but I'm not sure. I haven't been keeping up with it, but they say we are in front of a lot of Western nations in the gay and lesbian rights, but we are lagging behind in the transgender. Yeah.
But more work to do.
Yeah, there's work to do. Yeah.
Helene, we're standing here in front of your tent here at the Human Rights Conference. FSTB is in Danish for something, but can you try to explain what is your organization and what do you guys do?
We say in English is the Association in Support of Transgender Children. But children is minors, it's under 18. So it started out as a parents' organization. So a small group of parents met to share experiences, share knowledge about what is this. And I guess the thing about not being alone in this. And then it just grew, that's 6 years ago, I guess. And then it grew, and now we are 200 members in FSTB. So it's families, so it's young people, kids and their parents and families.
So what is it that you guys do?
We do, like, the main thing is network groups, because I guess when you find yourself in this situation, you need someone to talk to. I hear from the kids and the young people that they would love to meet someone who is like themselves. So I think that's very important for some of these kids. And the parents, it's where do I go? Where do I find the knowledge that I need? Who do I talk to about these things? So I guess that is like a main thing that we try to provide, that space for families to meet. We do network groups, meetings all over Denmark. So we have in Copenhagen, and we have Aarhus and Aalborg, so different places. And we have a camp, so a yearly camp for families to meet.
Okay, so are you guys also working with, let's say, schools and kindergartens and stuff like that?
Sure. We do have like a small group of parent counselors, like other parents can call, and a lot of the time we get teachers and youth workers calling to They have questions about this situation. They may have a transgender student pupil, and they ask, what do we do in this situation? Because we really want to support this child or young person, so what do we do? How do you do this? Because we can't find the resources anywhere, and we don't know who to talk to. So they call the parents, of course, because parents are the ones with the lived experiences. They are the ones who've been through these things, these processes.
So do you guys do like educational work or?
Yeah, we do. Not recently because of Corona.
COVID. Yeah.
But our counselors go to schools and do like presentations. We also did very recently some educational material for the teachers and youth workers, and also for families. I do have the material here. Because we do get a lot of questions, so we thought, okay, we do have this group of people who wants to know, who wants to do better, and we do have this organization who knows a lot about this. So how do we collect those experiences, that knowledge, and try to translate that to answer these questions that teachers have? So that's why we have the.
Okay. Do you have any feeling about like how big of an issue it is for like the regular school or kindergarten or whatever to include these kids and make them feel normal?
I think the schools the teachers that I talk to, the youth workers that I talk to, they want to do this better, and they are aware that this could be a thing. Some are aware when they are in this situation, so they're like, oh, okay, so now we're here, what do we do? But I think also because a lot of the time it's actually the young people and the children who know a lot about these things. So the parents feel behind, and sometimes I think the teachers too, because they also get very not a lot information when they go through their education. So they do question like, where do we go? How do we find that knowledge?
Mm-hmm. So if we take it a little bit broader, what do you think that Denmark can improve on when it comes to like education on transgender in general?
I think if we teach the teachers, that's a good way to do that, because if you have one teacher who knows a lot about this, and that teacher don't have to go and ask, they can ask us because we know a lot about this, but they can teach a lot of students or kids and young people about this, so they don't have to always be the ones who have to educate their parents or their teachers. So that would be great if we can improve on that. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Denmark is doing well when it comes to transgender rights in general?
I think there's something that could be better, yeah, of course. I talked to different organizations from other places in the world, and we see a lot of issues. Some places in the world it's tough right now, and you see a lot of like backlash. You thought it was going to move in this direction, and then things get rolled back. And I think to prevent that from happening here, we could do better at educating people. We do have a lot of these polarizations, so it's either you have this idea about something or that idea, and we can't talk together. So if we educate, if we tell people what we know, and we get that dialogue going, I think that could help in some ways. I hope it could. So that's also why we would love to make this. That's why we made the material to get out this information.
Yeah.
Also sometimes people don't know what they don't know.
So it's like a conversation starter in a way?
Could be.
Could be.
I hope could be, and I hope it could help people who do know about, they want to know, so they know where to go to find that information.